In that particular part of the world, they have what's called a top hat thunderstorm. So it wouldn't hamper the pilot's ability to actually conduct the approach. It's going to just obscure his view for some period of time while they're transiting through it.
Is it Guam? It's Guam. It's Guam. Good. Ready for departure now.
Clear of Charlie Bravo and requesting radar vectors for runway 6 left.
Rain ahead.
Let's make a missed approach.
Pull up. Terrain ahead.
I can't see it.
Ahead.
Not in sight. Not in sight.
Pull up.
Not in sight. Missed approach.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Go around. Go around.
Pull up. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
August 6, 1997. Korean Air Flight 801 crashed in Guam, killing 229 people. The cause of this crash in the reports was ambiguous. But we are going to discover the real reason behind this crash. 20 years before the crash of KAL 801, Korean Air Boeing 707 wandered into the Russian airspace and was shot down by the Soviet military jet. Then 2 years later, Korean Air Boeing 747 crashed in Seoul. 3 years after that, the airline lost another 647 near Sakhalin Island, followed by a Boeing 707 which went down over the Andaman Sea. The list of Korean Air crashes is way longer than I expected. To put that record in perspective, the loss rate for an airline like the American carrier United Airlines in the period 1988 to 1998 was 0.27 per million departures, which means they lost a plane in an accident about once in every 4 million flights. The loss rate for Korean Air in the same period was 4.79 per million departures, more than 17 times higher. Korean Air's planes were crashing so often that when the NTSB, the US agency responsible for investigating plane crashes within American jurisdiction, did its report on the Guam crash, it was forced to include an addendum listing of all the new Korean Air accidents that happened just since its investigation began. The Korean Air 747 that crash landed at Gimpo in Seoul almost a year to the day after Guam. The jetliner that overran a runway at Korea's Ulsan Airport 8 weeks after that. The Korean Air McDonnell Douglas 83 that rammed into an embankment at Pohang Airport the following March. And then a month after that, the Korean Air passenger jet that crashed in a residential area of Shanghai. Had the NTSB waited a few months more, it could have added another, the Korean Air cargo plane that crashed just after takeoff from London's Stansted Airport, despite the fact that a warning bell went off in the cockpit no fewer than 14 times. In 1999, Delta Airlines and Air France suspended their flying partnership with Korean Air. In short order, the US Army, which maintains thousands of troops in South Korea, forbade its personnel from flying with the airline. South Korea's safety rating was downgraded by the US Federal Aviation Administration, and the Canadian officials informed Korean Air's management that they were considering revoking the company's overflight and landing privileges in Canadian airspace.
The airline suffered 5 accidents in the second half of the decade alone, most memorably, this horrific scene in Guam in 1997.
In the midst of the controversy, an outside audit of Korean Air's operations was leaked to the public. The 40-page report was quickly denounced by Korean Air officials as sensationalized and unrepresentative. But by that point, it was too late to save the company's reputation. The audit detailed instances of flight crews smoking cigarettes on the tarmac, during refueling and in the freight area. And when the plane was in the air, crew read newspaper throughout the flight, often with the newspaper held up in such a way that if the warning light came on, it wouldn't be noticed. By the time of the Shanghai crash, the Korean President Kim Dae-jung felt compelled to speak up. He said the issue of Korean Air is not a matter of an individual company, but a matter of the whole country. Kim then switched the presidential plane from Korean Air to its new rival, Asiana. To understand the mystery of Korean Air's plane crashes, we have to go 7 years back to understand the famous crash of the Colombian airline Avianca Flight 52 in January of 1990, which is very similar to the Guam crash. The Avianca so perfectly illustrates the characteristics of the modern plane crash that it is studied in flight schools. This plane crashed because it had run out of fuel mid-air. The captain of the plane was Lerano Cavades, and his first officer was Mauricio Clothes. They were en route from Medellin, Colombia to New York City Kennedy Airport. The weather that evening was poor, dense fog and high winds. 203 flights were delayed at LaGuardia Airport, 161 at Philadelphia, 53 at Boston's Logan Airport, and 99 at Kennedy. Because of the weather, Avianca was held up by air traffic control 3 times on its way to New York. The plane circled over Norfolk, Virginia for 19 minutes, above Atlantic City for 29 minutes, and 40 miles south of Kennedy Airport for another 29 minutes. Here's their black box transcript. Pay close attention to the long silences and form of their conversation. Imagine the scene in the cockpit. They have just blown their first shot at landing and have no idea how much longer the plane is capable of flying. The plane is dangerously low on fuel. The captain is desperate, and here's what Clothes say. To begin with, the phrase running out of fuel has no meaning in air traffic control terminology. All planes, as they approach their destination, are by definition running out of fuel. Did he mean that 052 no longer had enough fuel to make it to another alternative airport? Or did he mean they were beginning to get worried about their fuel? It's like if you were to say in a restaurant, "Yes, I'll have some more coffee, and I'm choking on a chicken bone." How seriously would the waiter take him? The air traffic controller, with whom Clothes was speaking, took it as a passing comment. On stormy nights, air traffic controllers hear pilots talking about running out of fuel all the time. According to another controller who handled 052 that night, Clothes spoke in a very nonchalant manner. There was no urgency in the voice.
To 180 on the heading, and we'll try once again. We are running out of fuel.
The term used by linguists to describe what Clothes was engaging in that moment is mitigated speech, which refers to any attempt to downplay, to sugarcoat the meaning of what is being said. We mitigate when we are being polite, or when we are ashamed or embarrassed, or when we are being deferential to authority. If you want your boss to do you a favor, you don't say, "I'll need this by Monday." You mitigate. In a situation like that, mitigation is entirely appropriate. In other situations, however, like a cockpit on a stormy night, it's a problem.